So, Halcyon. The end. Good. So we're ready to go. Roll
Yeah.
initiative. It is unsure who
I don't
first
even know what we're
coined.
fighting. Just roll initiative.
Yeah, just roll it. There's just trees and they're coming to life. It's unsure who first coined the name for these lands of ours, but one thing is certain: it is as much a memory as a promise. That is a quote from half-elf cartographer Wilworth of Altair. Now, long ago before creation, the three mystics walked the land, or so we were taught. The myth tells us that Nere the Curator carved order from mere possibility, while Ix cast light onto the world to show us the way. And finally, Diem, who tempered the light with shadow. As generations pass, these figures move through history, first as parents whose wisdom and power guided us, then as legends to whom we could look and aspire, and finally to myth and even religion. As the elves made their own empire called Xanar and colonized the land, so too did other races find their time. The humans, most of all, desired rule and were given the gift of the West. It is said that when Vanador fell, Xanar wept. So in campaign one, Leg, I like the enthusiasm. In campaign one, Sivan II, who was the king of Hannon, had passed suddenly, and a day to celebrate his life was called. I'm gonna talk faster. People came from all corners of Halcyon and even from across the sea to pay respects, make some coin, and pursue their own goals. Among these were a Kenku warlock working to stay in the good graces of her patron, the Raven Queen, a goblin named Varn who was trying to find his clan's gnomish master, Bafflestone, and an Azamar fighter, Octavian Calventus, who earned great renown serving the former emperor of Vanador and his daughter, the half-elf Terrasin. The Dowager Queen Aelswith sat alone next to an empty chair meant for her daughter, Princess Ethelind, as the High Abbot, head of the Church of Tyr, eulogized the king while also casting doubt on his character and mocking his love of the elves. He suggested that none but Tyr himself could possibly be trusted to govern. During the festival, several farmers made reference to blighted crops or strange happenings. The next morning, as a new group loyal to the abbot called the Vigilant were patrolling Hannonhold, hanging posters and questioning the city folk, even going so far as to harass Deflator, destroying some of her potions. Realizing what was happening, the party made contact with the tabaxi named Mr. Candle, who offered coin to stop a powerful wizard called the Archivist from delivering scrolls with which the vigilant thugs could oppress the populace. The party headed west hoping to intercept the Archivist and his entourage, but first came across a monk by the name of Ren Varro, who had traveled from the distant Sword Coast on a mission to serve the Queen of Hannon. Finding that they had a common goal, the party joined forces with Ren and continued on. They soon came across the carriages flanked by soldiers, including the paladins Isenbird and Evangeline. Finding them sympathetic to the Queen's resistance, the party was able to destroy the scrolls as the Archivist escaped. Deciding to continue west to meet a contact of Ren's and find Varn, who had left during the night, the party arrives in Arvis, the religious center of Hannon, and here the party meets both the group Children of Ix and their leader Baelite, as well as Ambassador Siliquin of Altair. That night, an explosion rocks the city as black smoke pours from the Holy Justice of Tyr. The party finds a group dressed as the Children of Ix, but reveal them to be human spellcasters operating under orders of the Archivist. Meanwhile, Varn finds his employer, the gnomish wizard Barney Bafflestone, and after conducting a mock execution for a fairy dragon, Barney directs Varn to the ancient tower of Ale Seren on the north coast of the island. Ren meets his contact, the half-elf Lamless, in a bathhouse, and he directs Ren to a certain ship in the large port of Provos called the Methalqua, offering that its captain will have an update from Queen Aelswith. On the way out of Arvis, they see Siliquin being led away for questioning in the temple bombing, as the party is guided to where the Children of Ix are camping outside the city. The leader Baelite begins to make claims that she is the aspect of the mystic Ix himself and cannot be killed, while they are attacked by the Archivist's servant, a shadow sorceress who's looking for Varn. After a pitched battle in which many elves fell, the sorceress is defeated before she fades from existence. The party continues towards Provo, stopping in the hold where they find the Vigilant have taken over, and hear plans that the abbot is planning to summon Tyr himself to sit on the throne of Hannon and rule absolutely. Ren makes contact with the Queen and finds that Princess Ethelind was sent to safety right after her father's death, before he's given a sending stone, allowing him to send messages back and forth with a mysterious ally. Making their way out of town, the party finds two paladins guarding the bridge, none other than Isenbird and Guffoy, who begin searching the wagon. Varn shows Guffoy the letter from the Bafflestones claiming the protection of the Gnomish kingdom. Guffoy shouts he will not take orders from a goblin and throws the letter to the ground, grabbing Varn by the collar, and Varn looses a crossbow bolt, which lodges in Guffoy's plate. After a vicious fight, Guffoy falls dead. Octavian's blade, turned red by Guffoy's blood, is leveled at Isenbird. Just then, Rosalind Levert arrives with Evangeline, a cleric and paladin the party met on the road. Evangeline surveys the situation and orders Octavian to run. The party quickly climbs in the wagon, Ren stealing a horse, causing Isenbird to shout, "Hey!" After a brief stay in Haverhill, where the party defeats an Ankheg queen, becoming local heroes, and learning that Baelite has passed through recruiting followers for Ix, the party arrives in the large port of Provos, where they find word of their deeds and the fight on the bridge are already spreading, attracting note of an enigmatic cheese rite. The party seeks prominent alchemist Gerard Renaud, but instead meet his daughters Alice and Elise. Elise, the older of the two, asks the party to help her complete a task to help a halfling family find a missing relative, one Ander Lingenhall, who's gone missing. Upon returning to the shop, Elise finds a letter from her father indicating he has gone to right an old wrong, and they find a map unrolled on the desk. Octavian examines the map and realizes he has gone to the Tower of Aelcerin, and the sisters explain that he was once a member of an adventuring party like them called the Hawks, who gained some notoriety in Baldur's Gate. Octavian ventures to Soldier's Rest, finding many former Vanadorians settled there, and reconnects with a former proconsul of Albia named Felix. The party also finds Ander and are nonplussed by his antics with a bag of magic beans, including creating an animated statue bearing his likeness, summoning a vicious boulette, and sprouting a sapphire fruit tree, which promises to make the Lingenhall family quite wealthy. Returning to the alchemist shop, Ren reports that he has been conversing with Ambassador Siliquin through the Sending Stone, and they are to deliver a warning to Baelite and the children of Ix to get out of Hannon. Octavian considers what to do next, but one thing is certain: they must make haste to the Mythalqua and hope against hope the captain is willing to ferry them to Aelcerin to intercept Gerard Renaud. Meanwhile, across town, Varn meets with Cheesewright and the two exchange soup recipes, though Varn is disturbed by the broccoli in the cheddar soup. He also visits Stab, a goblin businessman in the Greens. Varn later meets Lilmin Bafflestone, who gives cryptic references to bread and leads them to a cache of dwarven weapons and armor headed for the hold. Later, Octavian is tricked into committing arson for the Cheesewright under the guise of delivering a message to Stab. Finally, boarding the Mythalqua, they meet the captain, a dwarf who introduces herself as Brilwyn Hardmaster. Mr. Candle, everyone's favorite tabaxi, emerges from the shadows, glad to see the group alive and well. They learn that there is an ancient pact, the Day of Arms and Bread, which ensures balance between the elves, humans, and dwarves in Halcyon. The abbot is making the claim that the elves have attacked and demand the dwarves honor the pact and make war on Altair. Brilwyn explains that she knows the elves have not done this, but her uncle, leader of the Hardmaster clan of Vanderrool, feels honor-bound to honor the pact along with the Gold Anvils, another powerful clan who rule the ancient underground city of Rin. Preparing to leave port, the party is confronted by Stab's goons demanding blood for the arson on their warehouse. Ren creates a ruse claiming Octavian is a geriatric mental patient, to which the goblins laugh, letting them go. After a few nauseating days at sea, the party arrives at Aelcerin and finds Gerard. After defeating a shaman and a demi-lich, they lift the curse holding Gerard's former party to this place, giving them peace. Having ended the threat of the demi-lich, the party finds the restored Elven Tower bathed in the light of the moon. However, Gerard reports that their ship was forced east to find a safe port. Searching the restored tower, they find strange experiments and ancient maps. Locating an orrery on the top level, Ren finds a way to repair it, causing a portal to form on the floor. Passing through the portal, the party finds themselves in Magraste, a twin to Aelcerin over 1,000 miles to the north. Shadows begin to coalesce as Octavian sees a familiar face across the room. It is Princess Terrasin, daughter to Bravin, the last emperor of Vanador. She's sitting across the room looking towards him. As Octavian tries to get to her, shadows form between them as a bent old woman appears, seeming to will the shadows forward, forcing Octavian, Deflator, and Ren back through the portal which closes behind them. Shaken at this, they find that Varn wishes to return to Provost to find the truth of Bafflestone's message, and they part on good terms. Baelate arrives under orders from Siliquin to hold the tower for study. The party makes their way east on foot towards Aronsport, hoping to find their ship and crew. Passing through a small fishing village, they meet an old woman holding a jar of pickles, who claims her pickles saw the Mythalqua taken by the Bitch Queen. Arriving in Aronsport, they meet an enigmatic elf named Agarwin playing a violin atop the roof of the harbor master, and a young girl named Adney who's in hiding, waiting for a ship to take her to Eastbridge. The party finds some of the crew of the Mythalqua alive and learns that the ship was destroyed with several crew dead. Ren fears it was the crew of his former ship, the Sunder. The party investigates the town, which appears to be held by secrets including deep scions, human sacrifices, and dark rumors. The Reeve admits to the crowd that the rot in their town is not the wrath of Umberlee at all, but instead the work of a sea hag who has a lair along the coast. The party prepares to confront the hag, and Brilwyn and Halamath prepare the Magric, eager to depart Aronsport. Descending through the crypts of the hag's lair, the party encounters a group of bullywugs who launch an ambush. As the battle turns in the party's favor, their king, one Lurkelpalm, is found with a red-skinned tiefling with one eye missing, who Ren recognizes as Devil, his former first mate aboard the Sunder. Devil uses Lurkelpalm as cover, escaping for the moment. As the party interrogates the bullywug leader, he reveals they are capturing townsfolk for the captain of the Sunder, Beast Langley, for some unknown purpose. They release hostages including the missing Leontine Dawson from Aronsport, Halamath's wife Ereliah, and a dwarven crewman from the Mythalqua. The party sends the survivors back before taking a rest to discuss their options. Agarwin reveals himself as a member of the Grinners and discusses his political aims for freeing Hannon from the Abbot's ambition, a goal the others share. Moving on, the party find a mysterious hallway covered in green slime with two poor flumps nailed to the wall. Approaching the cavern, Tiger was surprised to see his old shipmate Doc, an old bent gnome working on the remains of a body. Ren learned that while many of the crew of the Sunder died when Ren scuttled the ship, more survived than he would have liked. After a tense exchange, Ren soberly cuts down the gnome. The hags then attack in the face of the death glare, swarming the group with marrow. Adney joins forces with Agarwin to protect their flank. The coven is broken when one is killed, the other two trying to escape, but the party cuts them down. Trinkets abound in the lair as the party explores their next options. Returning to town, they hear the voice of the abbot himself sermonizing the gathered people of Aronsport. The vigilant were able to approach the town after the hags were destroyed. Halamath arrives to warn them to sneak away, but it's too late, as Ren steps from the shadows, challenging the abbot directly. This escalates into a skirmish as the paladins Isenbert and Evangeline, as well as the cleric Rosalind Levert, engage Ren and Deflator. Octavian runs with Adney and Halamath, who explains that the Reeve covered for them, protecting the Magric from the Vigilant. In the chaos, the party is able to escape, but is pursued to the docks where Brilwyn is preparing the Magric to leave Aronsport. Ren stops before returning to the church to quickly assassinate the Reeve, believing that his redemption comes too late. Using the figurine of wondrous power, Deflator summons a giant housefly, making great speed to the ship, but not before throwing alchemist fire atop the church, setting it ablaze. The abbot uses a dimension door, appearing at the docks, attempting to destroy the ship before it can leave. Octavian makes a plea to the paladins to choose the side of right, and Isenbert makes his choice. Calling out that Queen Elswith is alive, he turns his warhammer on the abbot himself. Enraged, the abbot retaliates with a column of holy fire, igniting his own robes while Evangeline knocks him down. She runs to the ship as Octavian reaches out, pulling her aboard at the last second. Agarwin at this takes out a parchment, crossing a name off his list. Leaving Aronsport and Hannon behind them, the party are given time to evaluate where they stand. Ren stands watch on the ship while Octavian comforts Adney and then makes amends with Deflator, who seems to accept the choices Octavian has made as having been necessary. Sailing towards Eastbridge, Ren's stone hums, receiving a message to ask for one Quinlan at the Citadel. Ereliah also offers to gift the Magric to the party, as long as they keep the crew paid. The party considers this offer as they discuss their priority to get word of the abbot's trickery to the dwarves of Gion, hoping to prevent all-out war. As they approach the harbor, one Hathrahal Kajon, registrar for the Circle of Xanar, begins to fill out paperwork for their arrival, as he explains that the Circle represents the ruling class of Eladrin, who maintain a force called the Mythal, which was willed by the mystic Nire when she wove reality itself, before demanding that they declare any imports and if their ship registration is in order. At this, Erelaya chafes at the bureaucracy producing the necessary paperwork. The party are quickly ushered to a central citadel where they learn is actually a central library. Here they are greeted by Quinlan, who is really Ambassador Silicon. She explains that the archivist has many spies, though she believes the Mythal protects them. Leading the party through the library, Silicon bids the party enter an arcane portal, promising answers and a way to stop the war. As they step through the portal, the party finds themselves in an idyllic grove, a large magnolia set in the center, white petals falling to the ground, carpeted in fallen leaves. An elven woman approaches, revealing Adney to be Princess Ethelind of Hannon, sent to safety by her mother, the queen. Adney, in turn, addresses the figure as the curator, Nire, one of the three mystics. After some debate about free will, Nire explains that she seeks to destroy the tree of her rival Diem, who she claims is allowing shadows and evil to flow freely into Halcyon. Having made her demands, Nire disappears, leaving them in the same grove, now bereft of color and beauty. Ren climbs a tree and finds they are deep within a distant forest, days from Gion. The party, while reeling from this news, are quickly approached by dryads who attempt to encircle them before the sound of boots and swords frightens them away. From the mist comes a full Vanadori legion, seemingly out of history, with Prince Wolfhair at their head, long thought dead. Octavian stares in disbelief as Wolfhair demands, "Is it not customary to bow to your emperor? Where is my sister?" I need a drink.
So
good.
Alice,
Yeah.
that
And
that ship named the Mythal.
And that's where we end. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Good job, everyone.